The format for tonight is a short presentation followed by a question and answer session. Please note this meeting is being recorded. We are providing simultaneous Spanish language interpretation. There may be additional pauses throughout the presentation. Joining me is Lydia, who is providing the interpretation for us. Hello, Lydia. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Lidia y yo voy a ser la traductora por la noche. El canal de audio en español está en el enlace para acompañarnos, el número 1408-418-9388. Si nos gustaría acompañarnos por teléfono, 2481-497-2084. Contraseña del seminario de West Phoenix será 93787463 y es por teléfono. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Lydia. Appreciate you being here. Now I'm going to turn things over to Marty Zeke, project manager for the study. Marty?
Thank you, Brett. As Brett had said, my name is Marty Zeke. I am with Valley Metro, and I am the project manager for the West Phoenix Alternatives Analysis. Joining me are Jennifer Love from AECOM, as well as Sarah Brown and Kelly Thomas from the City of Phoenix, who will be helping to answer your questions later on in the meeting. As Brett had mentioned, the format for our meeting is a short presentation, which I'm about to start right now, followed by a question and answer session. So to start out, the West Phoenix Alternatives Analysis is a project that Valley Metro is conducting in conjunction with the City of Phoenix to bring high-capacity transit to the Maryvale area of West Phoenix. As a part of this study, we have a few different pieces of information that we're looking to determine. The first is the type of high-capacity transit, be that light rail transit like we see throughout the valley right now, or bus rapid transit, which is a new mode to the valley, the first project of which is the Phoenix Bus Rapid Transit Corridor that will run from Van Buren on downtown Phoenix to 35th Avenue, then up 35th Avenue to Metro Center. The other aspects of this alternatives analysis that are studied as a part of this process are the transit route, as well as where would be good places to put stations. And so we're looking specifically across this entire corridor, where would the best routing be, as well as where can we find the best areas to plan for stations. To start out, we see the study area. On the eastern end of the study area is Central Avenue, which you can see on this map is shown by the purple line with a bunch of those white dots in it. The purple line with the white dots represents the existing Valley Metro light rail system. The northern end of this study area is Camelback Road, shown at the top of the screen. The western edge of the study area is 99th Avenue, which you can see on the side of the screen west of the 101 highway. And the southern portion of the study area is McDowell Road to the bottom of the screen. Another couple key components within this study area that we are looking to serve are the blue line which is that Phoenix Bus Rapid Transit Corridor running on Van Buren and then 35th Avenue. And also the I-10 West light rail extension, which is shown with the dotted red line at the bottom of the map, running along Interstate 10 to 79th Avenue, and then going north along 79th Avenue to Thomas Road. When we came to the public the first time, back in March and April, we presented this map. This map shows the original 10 options that we brought to the table, running all throughout the corridor from the east, where the existing light rail is, again represented by that purple line with the white dots, all the way to the western edge of the study area. The large purple dot at 79th Avenue and Thomas Road represents the Desert Sky Transit Center, which is where all of these options would connect up with the I-10 West light rail extension. From a combination of public feedback as well as analysis that we did with Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix, we narrowed these 10 options down to a top 2, which we're here to present today. Before I go into what those top 2 options are that we're looking for feedback on today, I wanted to run through the criteria that we use to evaluate the 10 options you saw on the previous slide. The first option is ridership potential, essentially where we're looking at how many people would be using this system. We then looked at physical and engineering constraints. Namely, are these lines that we put on the map, frankly, even something that we can build? Or is there some impediment that makes it too challenging to really construct this feasibly? We also take into account cost estimates to ensure that we're delivering a project that both is useful and well-serving the community, while also making fiscal sense. Community characteristics are extremely important as we are looking to serve the community through this project, and so we want to ensure that anything that we're doing makes sense to the community and that it has their buy-in. This then leads into one of the most crucial portions of this whole process, which is community input. During that first set of meetings, we held 3 in-person meetings and an online meeting, as well as went out to the community. This time around, we are again holding in-person and online meetings, as well as reaching out individually to numerous stakeholders and attending many different events and going to different spaces in the community to receive direct feedback from the project. The last 2 criteria we looked into are land use and economic development potential, essentially ensuring that where we're recommending to place high-capacity transit makes sense in the built environment. As an example, it makes more sense to put high-capacity transit investments near high-density residential units, such as large apartment complexes and job centers, more so than next to open areas and industrial zones. The last piece that we looked into was compatibility with the existing and planned transportation network. We look into both the transit network of how people without vehicles are getting around, as well as the overall transportation network to understand where are people coming from and where do they want to go. This evaluation turned into the matrix that you see in front of you here, where we looked at all of these different categories and ranked each one of those options that you saw a couple slides ago against all of the different pieces to determine which were our strongest performers. I understand this is a lot to take in on this screen, and I am happy to talk through more of these results as we get into the question and answer period. And I would also like to note that this presentation is available online, so please go through and look at this matrix and respond as you see fit during our public comment period, which will remain open until July 21st. So now to get into the two top options that we are advancing to this next stage of analysis. The first I will bring up is the green option. The green option starts at Central Avenue and Indian School. So right where that purple line with the white dots meets, that's the Central Avenue and Indian School light rail station. This line then heads west along Indian School Road, going past Interstate 17, and then meeting the Phoenix Bus Rapid Transit Project at 35th Avenue and Indian School to provide a direct transfer between these two high-capacity modes. The line then continues west along Indian School all the way to 75th Avenue, where it turns on 75th Avenue to serve a major regional park as well as Trevor Brown High School. Once it gets down to Thomas Road, it turns west to meet with the I-10 West light rail extension at the Desert Sky Mall Transit Center, and then continues for approximately 1.5 miles further to the west, where it ends around 91st Avenue in Thomas to serve the Banner Hospital there, as well as the growing medical district and new housing opportunities in that area. The red option is the second alternative that we're moving forward. Similar to the green option, the red option starts at Central Avenue and Indian School to provide a transfer from our existing light rail network. It then continues west along Indian School to provide a transfer between this project and the Phoenix Bus Rapid Transit Project at 35th Avenue and Indian School. For this option, it turns south on 51st Avenue. And to provide a little bit of context, that is right where the center of the Maryvale community really sits. And we see many different activity centers in that area, including medical facilities, retail, as well as American Family Fields, where a spring training stadium is located. This project would provide direct access to that spring training stadium. The project then continues south along 51st Avenue, and then west along Thomas Road to meet with the I-10 West light rail extension at the Desert Sky Mall Transit Center, and ending, similar to the green option, at the medical facility area with the Banner Hospital and other facilities, as well as all the new development at 91st Avenue in Thomas. So, Why are we here today? We are here to present this information and evaluate both the route alternatives and the transit types. We have two options going forward in terms of which alignment is best, and we are looking for community feedback on what would be preferred. As a part of this stage of the analysis, we will also be identifying a type of transit, be that light rail or bus rapid transit, that best fits this project. Prior to when this project would get built, we want to ensure that we are focusing on the existing transit system in Maryvale and this entire study area. What we see currently is that the east to west bus routes in Maryvale, so that's McDowell Road, Thomas Road, Indian School Road, and Camelback. Those 4 bus routes are 4 of the busiest bus routes in the entire valley, with Route 29, the Thomas Road bus, being the busiest bus route in the entire region. The only transit service that Valley Metro provides that has more riders than the Thomas Road bus is the light rail. That being the case, we want to ensure that as this project continues through the planning stages, that we are looking at the local bus system and proposing enhancements to help build ridership and excitement for this project to move forward. And finally, as we're doing tonight, we are going to continue to review the evaluation results with stakeholders in the public and seek feedback throughout the entire process. So on the bottom of the screen, you see essentially a time lapse of where we came from and where we're at. Last winter, we started just defining the purpose and need of the project. We are now at the stage that's shown in green of evaluating the alternatives. By the end of this calendar year, so by winter 2023, we will have a top alternative that we will be bringing to Phoenix City Council for consideration. And with that, I am going to turn everything back over to Brett to tell everyone how they can ask questions and provide their comments this evening.
Thank you, Marty. We will now begin the question and answer portion of tonight's meeting. You may ask a question a few different ways. To verbally make a statement or ask a question, we ask that you please virtually raise your hand. Here's how to do that. For those of you using WebEx through the internet browser, mobile phone app, or your WebEx desktop app, simply follow the instructions on the screen. If you would like to ask your question or make a statement, you can click the raise hand icon. When you are called, the moderator will unmute your mic. When you are finished, the moderator will mute your line, and we ask that you lower your hand by clicking on the raised hand icon again. Again, for those joining us online, these WebEx instructions are showing on your screen.
Hey, Brett, currently what I see on the screen is just says questions. Okay, now it's showing.
If you are joining by phone as a call-in participant, press *3. If you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, this gives us a hand raise signal. When it's your turn to speak, we'll call on you and ask you to unmute your line. Press *6 to unmute, and then you may begin speaking. When you finish speaking, press *3 again to remove the hand raise signal. If you have joined us using one of the WebEx applications, you may choose to submit your question or comment in writing using the WebEx Q&A feature. These instructions are displayed on the screen. Remember, if you are joining by phone as a call-in participant, press *3 if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment. This gives us a hand raise signal. When it's your turn to speak, we'll call on you and ask to unmute your line. Press *6 to unmute, and then you may begin speaking. When you finish speaking, press star 3 again to remove the hand raise signal. And reminder, if you are having technical issues, please contact WebEx Help at 866-229-3239. We do have 2 questions. The first one, Marty, is do we have a cost analysis of the 2 options?
Thank you, Brett. So that's a great question. At this point, we are still very much in the early stages of doing the alternatives analysis. This next phase of the project is where we're really going to dig more detail into what potential costs could be. The one thing I caution when it comes to that is this project is further out in our program, so as much as we can determine what potential costs are, these are very much going to be estimates. The exact costs will get determined further along in the process as this turns more into a design type project.
Thank you, Marty. Now we'll be going to a caller, Elliot Temple. Please go ahead, Mr. Temple.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. First and foremost, I'm Elliot Temple, Vice President of Business Development for a company called Glideways. Thank you for your time today. Very transparent and clear presentation, and appreciate the transparency and the routes and so forth, as well as your timeline. Arizona in general is of great interest to us. We haven't engaged much, but just to highlight a couple recent procurements, we've won the San Jose Airport Connector project, as well as East Contra Costa County 28-mile project there. These are new innovative solutions. Glideways is just one of those. There's several other who we would refer to as our competitors. And so I guess my first question is there consideration of newer, more innovative solutions that are much more cost-friendly in CapEx, but more importantly in OpEx over 30, 50-year P3 contracts, so public-private partnership, DBFOM type of models might be more sustainable financially over time? That's the first question.
So thank you for that question, Elliot. At this time, we are looking at tried and true modes, bus rapid transit and light rail. This project, as it continues forward, certainly there could be discussions, but as of right now, we are considering those 2 modes.
Okay. Appreciate the clarity, and that will conclude my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to the Q&A, a written response question, and then we'll get back to the hand raise of Mr. Roy Miller. But for right now, when would the project start and expected completion?
So as of right now, there is certainly different types of ways that this could move forward. And what it really depends on is the funding sources that we have available as we move further towards the actual design and construction of this project. In this region, most high-capacity transit extensions that have been funded have had Proposition 400 money that have been allowed to be used to help design and build those projects. Right now, we see that with our state legislature and the way that things are going, there is some uncertainty as to what the future of the Proposition 400 sales tax will look like. We have assurances and just certainly excitement on our end that high-capacity transit and extensions are in the plans for both Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix as it goes into the future. The actual timeline will really depend on if we have Proposition 400 moving forward in a way that allows us to capitalize on those resources to meet federal grants to get these projects going, it will happen sooner. If it's something that needs to be funded purely through local funding that would then be matched up with federal dollars, it would just take longer. I see that Marcus Coleman from the City of Phoenix is on. Marcus, is there anything you would like to add to that?
No, I think you covered that adequately. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Now we'll go to Roy Miller. Mr. Miller, you should be able to speak now.
I'd just like to suggest that whichever route is chosen, that it be by bus rapid transit rather than light rail, just for two reasons. One, the BRT is so much more economical, and because the BRT is so much more flexible. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Now we go back to Q&A. Marty, please don't give guideways any attention. We don't need more personal vehicles on the road. Do we have ridership potential for light rail? Sorry.
So thank you for that question. In terms of ridership potential, that's exactly what we're going to be getting into in this stage of the study. With both of these options, we are going to be running a transportation demand model for both light rail and bus rapid transit to see, frankly, just which mode makes the most sense. Of course, not only will our model determine that, but also input from the community. So it really is a combination of both that would then lead us to what our recommendation would be for Phoenix City Council to consider moving forward.
And for next, we have a statement that is, I believe the bus is most flexible and cost efficient. And at this time, that wraps up our Q&A as well as our call-in session. We will hold for another second to see if anybody else has any more comments or questions. So just to remind everybody, to verbally make a statement or ask a question, we ask that you please virtually raise your hand. For those of you using WebEx through your internet browser, mobile phone app, or your WebEx desktop app, simply follow the instructions on the screen. If you would like to ask your questions or make a statement, you can click the raise hand icon. When you are called, the moderator will unmute your mic. When you have finished, the moderator will mute your line, and we ask that you lower your hand by clicking on the raised hand icon again. Again, for those joining us online, these web instructions are showing on your screen. All right, we have another question. Do we not already have bus transportation on several of these routes?
So thank you for that question. That's actually a great question, and that's the short answer is yes. We do have bus transportation on every arterial route, I believe east of 91st Avenue in this study area. So there is quite a bit of arterial bus transit. There also is a circulator route, the Mary, that runs in this area. The reason why we're doing this study is that we see how productive these bus routes are and how many people they carry and how important this system is to the community. And acknowledging all of that while also acknowledging the heavy traffic that we see in the West Valley on all of these arterial roads, as well as just frankly throughout the entire area, that we see the need to look towards other innovative options to bring alternatives to the community. What this project would do that a local bus cannot do is provide higher speed service, as it does not stop as often and typically would be running in its own lane. And it also would provide higher capacity. So right now on our busiest bus route in the valley, Thomas Road, quite often there are not places for people to sit. It is standing room only, especially during the peak periods. And we're seeing buses right now on Thomas Road running as often as every 8 minutes. The potential of high capacity transit would not only speed up transportation options in this area, but it would provide the ability to have a safe, reliable, and comfortable ride for all as well.
Wonderful. Another comment. Thanks for considering ATN PRT solutions in there. Oh, there's a little bit more, sorry. Thanks for considering ATN PRT solutions in the future. Build and operational costs are fractional to that of BRT, LRT, and HRT. BRT solutions are less risk than LRT, and the ROW allows for future innovation like glideways. Thanks again for the transparency and future consideration. And next from Alan, my understanding is that several of these roads have no room to expand. Where does the lane come from?
So thank you for that question, Alan. That is a great question. One of the reasons why we ended up with the alignments that we ended up with were concerns that were brought up in our initial stages about that exact question. Indian School Road from Central Avenue heading west, especially as it goes to 19th Avenue, is very wide. And so Indian School, one of the reasons why we moved forward with that was because we were looking at that specific problem and that specific question, which is the right-of-way, or just how much space we have in the road to actually put projects like this in. The trade-offs that we will be looking at in future stages of this project are essentially what would it look like to add high-capacity transit into that roadway. In the valley right now, with our light rail system, we see examples of areas where the choice has been made to have high-capacity transit through the middle of road, but keep the right-of-way essentially the same as it was prior to high-capacity transit. A great example of that is in downtown Mesa. In downtown Mesa, the roadway used to be 2 lanes in each direction. It is now down to 1 lane in each direction, with the light rail running through the center of that project. That really did not require much acquisition of right-of-way at all to be able to do that, and so the footprint of the road essentially remained very similar. The other option that can be looked at for a similar type thing is the light rail portion of Camelback Road in Central Phoenix, running from Central Avenue west to 19th Avenue. One of the considerations in that portion of the light rail was to maintain traffic flow. And so along Camelback, the road was maintained at 3 through lanes of traffic in each direction as it was prior to when the light rail came in to the road. What happened then is there was a requirement for additional right-of-way, which essentially meant that a lot of those properties have smaller setbacks than they did prior. So as this project moves ahead, what we're looking at in this stage is really just what makes the most sense for the community, the questions of how would that actually fit into the roadway, and the question of would it be expanding the right-of-way to maintain those traffic through lanes, or would it be keeping the similar width of the right-of-way, will be determined later on in this process.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll give one more pause. And I see we do have another question. Gloria has asked, has route for light rail coming to West Valley been approved on Van Buren, or is that part of this?
So thank you for that question. I'll answer that in a couple ways. So there are a couple things that are exciting that are happening on Van Buren that are closer to being built than this project. The first of those is the Phoenix Bus Rapid Transit Corridor, which starts at Central Station right at Van Buren and Central Avenue in downtown Phoenix. It runs along Van Buren Avenue west to 35th Avenue and then turns north along 35th Avenue. That will provide a bus line that operates, frankly, very similar to how light rail operates and gives the community along Van Buren in that section of it direct access to high-capacity transit. The next piece of transit infrastructure that's going in along Van Buren is the I-10 West light rail extension. The Capital Extension project is currently slated to bring light rail west from downtown Phoenix along Washington and Jefferson Streets to the state capitol area. from the state capital area, the I-10 West extension takes over, and in this presentation, the I-10 West extension was represented by the hatched red line in both alternatives as well as the study area. That will be running also along Van Buren from 19th Avenue until the I-17, so for about a mile. And then that project would turn off Van Buren to go into the actual highway median and run right down the center of I-10. This project, the study area, the southern boundary of it is McDowell Road, so we are not looking at Van Buren specifically for this project. However, certainly Van Buren is going to see a lot more transit investment in the near future.
Another comment, I am in Villa de Paz. I see very little room to expand. Taking away a lane would require hundreds of drivers to ride the bus. Not likely, in my opinion.
So thank you for that comment. I understand certainly that there are compromises to make as we go through any of these processes. The next stage of this process is really to determine what the alignment that makes the most sense is to attract the most number of people to transit. And then from there, there will be a lot of modeling and different work that's done to determine how we can best fit high-capacity transit into the West Phoenix area. So I apologize I don't have more details at this stage, but that is something that will be determined in latter stages of this project, how that would work.
Thank you, Marty. And I think that's a good segue into what we would really like to provide is an opportunity for all of you to give us your opinion and your comments towards the matter. So if you currently see on the screen is some information and a way for you to use your mobile device to take a picture of the QR code where you can submit an online comment form about tonight's presentation. It is very important that those of you who have attended this presentation, please use that QR link and submit your comment form. The information provided will be also on our website at valleymetro.org/West Phoenix. If you happen to lose the QR code link, we will be accepting comment form submissions through July 21st. And while those of you are using the QR code to submit your comment forms, I will let Marty know we have another comment. I live on Indian School Road. It is currently a highway with 6 to 8 lanes for cars. I am in full support of light rail. Great comment. Again, please use the QR code to take a brief survey where you can select which options you prefer that we presented on this evening, as well as any other comments that you would like to provide between mode and route in tonight's presentation.
All right, and I'll end it up by just saying thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your time on this evening to just listen to our presentation, interact with us with that feedback. I am really encouraged by all of the different questions and comments that we've had during this. As Brett had said, please give us your information via that comment form. Stay engaged with us, and we will be coming back out to the public for a third time in September to go over what we're calling the locally preferred alternative, and that will be based on a combination of the feedback that we receive from this series of meetings and those comment forms that come in, as well as the analysis that we complete to differentiate between the red alternative and the green alternative to figure out what makes the most sense for the region. So once again, thank you so much for your interest in this project and your participation. Have a great evening.